I'm now live. Hello, folks out there. Welcome. My name is Kelly. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the program coordinator over at Kaleidoscope, which is a department of the help group. I am joined today by Ava, who will be moderating the chat a little bit. And if you have any questions, she should be able to answer them there. So I wanted to start out just by welcoming folks and giving you a little bit of information about what Kaleidoscope is and what we're doing here. So just thank you so much for coming and joining us for our Pride Kickoff Craft Along. We're going to be doing a weekly series, all Pride long, on Instagram Live. So every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. So if you are not in California, Google when Pacific time is so that you can catch these. And we will be doing one every week. So this first one is going to be a paper craft one. If you want to work on your own craft project and just hang out with some cool queer kids and do your own thing, that is totally fine. If you would like to follow along with the craft, I'm actually going to have a top view camera so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to be showing you how to make your own zine today. And next week, we will be having a coming out panel that will be focused on sexuality. Coming out is not straight. The week after that, which is the 16th, I believe. Yeah, the 16th, we will have a Pride trivia game. So if you are super into trivia or if you're not into trivia at all, come by. Maybe you'll learn some things. If you want to send us in your scores, we'll post and shout out the top scorers on our Instagram. On the 23rd, we're going to be doing a coming out panel focused on gender. So folks who have come out as trans or non-binary and what that's been like for them. And then on the 30th, we're going to close the month out with a Pride party. So just a celebration of all things LGBTQIA+. And that is how we want to close out June. So that's what we're planning for the month. For today, I'm going to be doing a craft along, so I'll be showing you a top-down view as well of what I'm going to be doing. And oh yay, look, everyone's joining in, great. And Kaleidoscope offers weekly and monthly social support groups for LGBTQIA+ young folks and young adults, as well as parents and caregivers. So if that is something that you are interested in, we have them all free online right now, and you can find all that information at kaleidoscopelgbtq.com, which is a lot to spell, so maybe try Googling us. But yeah, and you can also find us through the help group. And great. Oh, look at the people coming in. Awesome. So we also offer therapy, group and individual, which you can contact us for that at kaleidoscope@thehelpgroup.org. Oh, this is great. Awesome. Okay. So I'm going to start out by telling you all a little bit about what a zine is, since that's going to be our craft today. And I guess maybe before we get started, I can let you know what our supplies are going to be. So for today's craft, you will need a piece of paper, scissors, or the ability to tear paper in a relatively straight line, and also whatever you want to be able to make art on that zine once you do. So I have a little box of markers and pencils here. I also have some stickers and glue and magazines just in case I feel the urge to collage. But you can put whatever, oh, thank you. You can put whatever you want in a zine. That's one of the great things about them. And to make the base of the zine, all you need is paper, the ability to tear the paper, and something to write in the zine with. So I'm going to start out by telling you a little bit about what a zine is. And for folks who are just joining us, my name is Kelly. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the program coordinator over at Kaleidoscope. If you are in our young adult or teen social support groups, my face is probably familiar to you. So a zine, what is it? So it's short for magazine. A zine is a self-published, non-commercial, it's a print work. It's typically produced in small batches and is self-published by a group or a person, and they're typically not for profit. So a zine is very much a grassroots thing. Yay, the hearts! And I have with me some examples of some zines here. All right, so I have, this is a zine that a friend gave to me as a birthday present. It was a fanzine about the 2016 Ghostbusters movie. So as you can see, it's a piece of construction paper on the outside, so a little bit hard, a little bit thicker cover, but on the inside, it's just black and white printer size paper. And then in the middle, it's held together with a staple. So these are something that the whole idea behind a zine is that anyone can make one. You can make it as fancy as you want or as simple as you want. For an example of a little bit more fancy one, this is the Quarantine Zine, which is a zine that the other organization I'm involved in made. And this is just a collection of art and stories about LGBTQIA experiences during the pandemic. So small batches, made, self-published, that kind of thing. Now, the type of zine we're going to make today is just going to take one piece of paper. And here's an example of one. So this is one that I did about Scotland, which is where my wife is from. So this one is just art about Scotland. So it's rainy, always rainy in Scotland. Their national animal is the unicorn. Their flower is the thistle, and that's Edinburgh Castle. But so it can really be any content you want to put in a zine. So those are some examples. So now I'm going to show you how to make a zine. And this is the part where we're going to get a little bit technical. I'm going to try to do a double live situation, which is going to be a little bit tricky, but I believe in us. We can do it. All right. Do we still exist? Alrighty. So let's get this second camera going. And for Ava out there, please let me know if you can hear me on both, because you should not be able to. As we did in our test run, it's connected to the Bluetooth, and the Bluetooth is going under a pillow. So, here we go. I think we're doing it. Do we have two of my face up here now? Okay, Ava, can you let me know if the sound is doing the reverb thing, or are we good? Amanda, Ava, either of you?
Oh, it's coming up there.
Okay, great. Okay, so one of these faces is going away. I think this one. Yes. All right. Here is a little workspace I'm going to be using. Okay, thank you, Holly. Let me turn down the sound on both of these so they don't fight with each other. Yes, I am double live right now. That is what is happening. Okay, so as I said before, the supplies you're going to need, a piece of paper is what I'm going to start out with. Since it's a little bit hard to see the white paper, I'm actually going to be using an orange piece of construction paper to demo how to do this. But that is not necessary for you. I am just doing it so the visual is a little bit stronger. All right. So the first step in making the base of the zine is to fold your paper in half. And we're going to do that. I don't know if y'all had these things in school, but I remember my teachers used to call this a hamburger fold and this a hot dog fold, but we are going to fold it hamburger twice. So one time. Yes! Oh, cool. Other people have heard of hot dog and hamburger. Great. So you can just crease that. And so now you'll have one fold right down the middle. And for folks who are just joining us, we're making a zine. And all you need for this step anyways, is a single piece of paper. I'm using orange paper just so it's a little bit easier to see. But you can use any paper you have. Printer paper works. A4, 8.5 and 11, even smaller paper is fine too. Just end up with a smaller zine. All right, so next you're going to do the same thing over again. So fold it one more time in the same direction. All right. Yay! Oh, thanks everyone. Thanks for the love. Okay, so when you unfold this, you should have a piece of paper with 4 vertical columns. Oh, whoa, that's upside down. Okay, I'll do it this way then. 4 vertical columns. Have people gotten to this step yet? So we're folding hamburger and then again. And that makes 4 vertical columns. Yay! All right. Okay, so the next step is to fold the paper hot dog. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm creasing mine pretty hard, but it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. Zines are purposely DIY, so if it reflects that, great. You're just embracing the history of zines. Okay, so now we have 8 little boxes. And how we got here was hamburger twice. And hot dog once. I'm so sorry for folks who I'm making hungry with this. Many apologies. Okay, so the next step is the cutting step. Now, if you have scissors, great, use your scissors. If you need to tear very gently and as close as you can to the line. So what you're going to do is folded hamburger, and see this line right here? You're going to cut here and then stop at that first intersection right there. So if you can't tell which direction it opens this way, and you're cutting along this line right here. Oh my goodness, I love that there's just now a conversation about burgers happening in the chat. Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and cut along this line. And then as soon as you get to that cross T intersection there, stop. So it looks like this now. If I unfold it, you can see it's just that middle section that's cut. All right. So now we have our lovely zine, and this part, I don't know if it's tricky. This is just another part. So we're going to fold it hot dog. And if you put it vertically, you can see that these little folds I made earlier kind of want to squeeze out. And when that happens, they make a little book. And that little book is going to be your zine. Okay. So just in case folks didn't see all that, I'm going to do it one more time, a little quickly. So you're going to fold in half this way twice. And then cut here. And fold in half this way. And if you push these ends together, they should snap into a little book. All right. Now, before you get started, you want to know which page is the first page, right? So we can label the zine. That way you know the direction that they go. So I'm going to label this one with a big black marker. This is not the zine I'm actually going to be coloring on I'm planning to make a little pride zine, but this is just to give you an idea of how the pages work. So let's see, where will we start on this one? Yeah. So this is the cover. Am I upside down? Yeah, I am. Cool. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the back. Okay. So when you see it unfolded, which is how you're mostly going to be using it, it'll look like this. All right, let's see how I turn that the right way for y'all. Is it just, it has to be backwards? Great. Hopefully that looks reasonable to you. It looks backwards when I'm looking at it. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, back cover, front cover. And that way you know where each piece is going to be. So when I'm actually making my zine, which I'm going to do now, this was my demo one, just to give you an idea of how it works. When I'm actually making my zine, I'm going to mark it like in the very corner with pencil so that I can erase it later and it won't be too big of a deal. So I was thinking that while I do my actual zine, I can tell y'all a little bit about the history of zines. And I'll organize my space a little bit here. And where they sort of come from. So zines are really great because anyone can make them. They have been used to be filled with art. They have been used for engaging in a community that maybe doesn't have like as much acceptance or mainstream publications. If you're writing pieces that are maybe not going to get published in like a big magazine or in a newspaper because you're part of a counterculture or a subculture that's not as accepted. I don't know, maybe like the queer community. These were a big part of that back in the day as a way to elevate voices that typically didn't get published, as well as announce when events were coming up, to spread awareness of issues, to do activism, to preserve history as a means of communication, all sorts of things. So the ancient history of zines is tied to political pamphlets, usually of dissent of whatever group was in charge. And then there was a more recent history of zines being fanzines, especially in the genre of sci-fi. And that has a history as early as Depression era United States. So if there is more zine info out there that you know, and I'm not hitting this 100% correctly, please, please, please feel free to let me know, because I would love to get an update on my education whenever. I'm happy to learn new things and update and correct. But from the sources I have read, this is something that fanzines were happening, science fiction fanzines were happening in the 1920s, as early as the 1920s and 30s, as well as in the mid 20th century. And then around the 80s and 90s, zines were really big with punks, feminists, and queer folks. So this was something that people were using to document history, to put out information about HIV/AIDS when that wasn't being published elsewhere. And zine fests became a thing, I think in the 90s, possibly earlier. To pay attention for the cutting part. And around the 2000s, zines sort of started to decline due to the internet. Basically, websites were a place that people could create their own content and publish it. So they sort of filled that niche that zines had been filling before. And there is a really cool project out now called the Queer Zine Archive Project. And they actually, back in 2003, started documenting all the queer zines they could find and making them available in an archive. Actually, there was a zine I was going to show you earlier that now I don't know where it went to. Oh, you know what? I think I asked you for information about it, and then it went on a walk. Yeah, thank you. So this is a zine this was called Lesbian Connections, and it was originally published, did you say in the 1970s?
Yeah,
so this has been published since the 1970s, and one of the cool things about zines is then if you know where to get them, if you're going to an event that might draw a queer audience, things like that, you could put an ad in there for like a roommate, and then you would know it would be someone who was part of the community, or there have been punk bands that have formed through zines. Project Dritch, formed by all of the members, which is an all LGBTQ punk band. They formed by the members meeting through a zine that they had listed their, I don't remember if they said it was their home address in it. And then they ended up being like basically pen pals. So this is pre-internet days. And I guess that's how you had to find other folks. Yeah, welcome to folks who are just joining. Yay! But yeah, so if you could get your info out into a zine, you could find a place to crash, like a place to stay in a new city that was LGBTQ friendly. If you were wanting to travel, you weren't sure like which hotels are safe, you could put a call out in a queer zine and say like, hey, I want to go to this town. Here's my contact info, my phone number, whatnot, and folks could call and let you know that, hey, this is a place that's safe for you. And then you would know like, oh, okay, great. I can go and stay here, and I want to go see this show, but now I have a place to stay. So they're a really great way for communication to happen back before internet days. So I'm working on my cover now, which I think, if I can tell correctly, is showing up upside down to all of you. But thinking I'm going to put a more color, more pride flag on it. And for folks who don't know the history of this flag, the one with the black and brown stripe at the top, that was started by Amber Hikes, who worked for the mayor's office in the city of Philadelphia. I think that her title was something like LGBTQ liaison or something like that. She worked in the mayor's office in Philadelphia, and they were having a problem there. I guess they had a large enough queer community in Philadelphia that they had gay bars and that sort of thing, but they were having a problem with racism and they wanted to have a way to indicate that, hey, this is a queer space. This is an LGBTQIA plus space, but it's also a place that's inclusive of people of different races. So Amber Hikes put out this flag through the city of Philadelphia, and I believe named it the More Colors, More Pride flag. And it was meant to be a symbol of, this is not only supposed to be a safe place for LGBTQ folks, but also specifically and explicitly stating that this is a safe place for those LGBTQ folks who might be worried about being included or excluded based on their racial identity. So that was a really cool contribution that she made to our community, to add this black and brown stripe on here on the original Baker design from the 70s. Actually, the original flag had a pink stripe as well. I think that was part of, Baker designed it for Harvey Milk, I believe. I could be getting that super wrong. So anyone who's on a phone, which is all of you, feel free to Google that and correct me. But the original one, I think, had a pink stripe as well. And that pink stripe got removed because printing more colors was more expensive. That was the way I heard that story. So when they wanted to mass produce the pride flag, they ended up taking off the pink stripe. And as all of you know now, we have so many individual different pride flags, which is pretty awesome that people have the room to explore and figure out identities that really fit for them, and things that feel right, and coming up with new terms. And I think that's really just an indication of how much more we're allowed to have conversations and talk about this stuff now. I take it as a very good sign that there's like a million different flags. Well, there's not a million, but there's a lot. I can think of like at least 10 fairly quickly. But yeah, I don't know. What should I put in my pride thing? I have some stickers as well. So if you're crafting along at home, oh, nice. Thank you, Ava, that people were saying that the pink stripe was taken out of the original flag because the fabric color wasn't readily available. Yeah. So see, this one is also that stripe, but there's also I have some bisexual stickers too that I can stick in here. So for folks who are crafting along at home, whether you're working on this zine or, I mean, not this specific one, whether you're working on your own zine or making something different entirely, please send us your stuff. Send it to us in the DMs or tag us in your story, and we can repost your art and your creations on our story. I'd love to see what folks are working on. Even if it's not a zine, sometimes I go to Nebula, their non-binary Union of Los Angeles. Sometimes I go to their craft days, and they always have a craft that is like a follow-along craft, but they also encourage people to work on their own stuff. And sometimes it's kind of fun to see, like if you're working on a zine, to see what someone has been working on with their crochet or something like that. But they're a great resource in the LA area. So for folks who are just joining, the craft along, I can demonstrate again real quick. I think we're at about halfway, so I'll give you another re-up. My name is Kelly. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the program coordinator over at Kaleidoscope, and I'm showing you how to make a zine today. Just need a single sheet of paper. This is orange just for contrast for you. You can use a regular piece of printer paper or whatever you have around. Notebook paper works totally fine too. And you're going to fold this in half and then fold it in half again. You get those nice lines. And then that was folding in the hamburger direction. And then fold it in half hot dog. And you end up with 8 little boxes here. And so you can label them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, back cover, front cover. I labeled these ones very large so that you can see, but on the zine that I'm actually making for myself, I did it real tiny. Ooh, where is the camera actually? Real tiny in the corner there. Ooh, what? Huh? Oh my goodness, perspective is difficult. There it is. Oh, you just can't see it because it's so tiny. But yeah, that's my little one in the corner. Was searching for it upside down and backwards. And then what you're going to do here is fold this in half and do a single cut here. So I did it with scissors. If you're good at tearing carefully, you can do it that way. And you're just going to do it to this point here. And then you can open it back up, color in whatever you want, collage on it, put stickers, anything that you want to do in there. You can make it about pride. You can make it about your identity and what it means to you. You can make it about, we had a participant at a zine making thing that Kaleidoscope did last year who made different breeds of bunnies in each one because they were really into bunnies, which was pretty cool. So then you're gonna, when it's all filled in, you can fold it in half like this, stand it up, and just push these together, and you can see it naturally squeezes into a little book that you have for yourself. And the important part is that this then is a piece of paper that's pretty standard size, right? So if you are making a pamphlet about an LGBTQ event that maybe the local newspaper wouldn't want to run an ad for back in the day, or even currently, I don't know what your situation is locally, but then you could take this zine that you made to a copy machine, to a print service, throw that in the copier, make 100 copies. Then you have the hard part of clip this little, cut this little hole in each of those 100 copies. But it's like a really easy way to self-publish something. And then you do the work of folding it, and then you can just distribute it. And usually zines are either free or very cheap. I've seen them, I don't think I've ever seen one for more than like $7-ish, and a lot of times they're for a donation. Sometimes they're more if they have a lot of content, but usually little ones like this would just be given out free outside of like a conference or a show or a festival. There are actually even zine fests that happen all over. So I'm just making a little pride zine right now. And you can use collage for your zine. You can use all sorts of stuff. So I'll make that fit. So if you are just coloring in there, that's totally fine. If you want to just do it with pencil or in black and white, that's also fine. I have a little pile of magazines and things over in the corner here, as well as some markers. But put some glue on there. There we go. Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Ava said that they are filling their zine with quotes that they like. That's a great idea. Maybe I will do some of that as well. That's a great idea. I don't really have like a grand overall plan for this zine. I'm just sort of making it up as I go along. But if you have a message that you're trying to get out there, if you have a special interest that you're super into that you want to be able to share with other people, a zine is a great way to do that. Put a sticker in here. I'm digging the sticker vibe. Yeah, that's the great thing. You can put anything you want in here. This is a magazine that I have called The Fight, which is an LA-based queer magazine that is free. So I think they pay for it by selling advertisement or donation or something, but you don't actually have to buy a subscription to this. We got these at a in-person Pride event back in the day. Oh, this is great. Has a picture of Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera. Maybe I'll add that into my zine. Those seem like great folks to add to a zine about Pride. So for people who don't know, Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera were two trans women of color. They were activists. I believe they had oh no, I'm going to forget the name of their organization now. I think it was called STAR, possibly. You're on the internet already. Please Google it. Correct me with Google. But they had an organization later that helped, that was trans people helping trans people. But yeah, they were really involved in the early LGBTQ rights movement in the United States, notably at Stonewall, along with Stormy DeLavare. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce that name, but some key folks who were at the Stonewall in the night that was raided. Okay, so let me see how this is going to pull together. Oh yeah, I can do a spread with them. That's great. Line it up so it folds in the middle. So that's really why Pride Month is June. There were a couple of other LGBTQ rights movement events that happened in June also. I think the Compton Cafeteria Uprising also happened in June. I'm not sure what's up with June in terms of LGBTQ uprisings, but the Stonewall Uprising happened at the end of June. The Compton Cafeteria Uprising happened. The Clifton's Donuts Uprising happened. And I think those are all in June. So that's why we use June as the month that we celebrate Pride. The very first Pride Parade was in New York on the 1-year anniversary of the Stonewall riots. The riots occurred in 1969, so the first Pride was in 1970, and on Christopher Street in. Oh, I love it! Look at that. They fit right in there. I heard a quote earlier today that I love Ava's suggestion of putting quotes that you like in here, but I heard a quote earlier today that I'm going to find and put in here. I listened to a podcast called Query with Cameron Esposito, which actually kind of does the job that zines used to do of documenting history of folks who wouldn't end up in your history books. Query, Cameron interviews a different LGBTQIA plus person every week, and you kind of get like a snippet of who we are right now. That then is a recorded record that you can learn about folks who exist now, but also sometimes they interview people who are an older generation of LGBTQ folks. All right, where's that? And sometimes they take notes out of it because it has some great quotes in there sometimes. Yeah. Oh man, these are all real long quotes though. I don't know if I'll use them. Actually, I do kind of like that one. All right, so I'm going to put in a quote from Anthony M. Lopez, who was interviewed on there. Let's see if I can do writing at a reasonably well. Which was, if I saw somebody like me in a movie or in a play when I was younger, I would have felt like there was a world for me. And that's kind of what Pride is about as well. Just especially for the folks who are younger, who aren't out yet. Pride is a great way to show them that there's a world for them. And it's also paying homage to the history of the LGBTQIA rights struggle, and also showing people now. And one of those things is like, it seems like a big party, but one of the ways to really show that, hey, like, I'm out here living my life, is to be having a great time. So I hope some folks are Happy Pride! Yay! I hope some folks are finishing up their zines, and when you do, please, please, please send us pictures of what you did so I can throw them up on our story and shout you out. And if you don't want to be added to the story or have a shout out, send them anyways and just say that, because I would love to see what you worked on. So if I had saw somebody like me in a movie or a play when I was younger, I would have felt like there was a world for me. I think Anthony M. Lopez. So for folks who are still here, I just want to say we have coming up every week on Wednesday at 5 p.m. We're going to be doing a different activity on Instagram Live, right where you are right now. If you're watching this in our story tomorrow, come back one day earlier next week, and you can see it live. So we're going to be doing this every week for all of Pride Month. This week we are having, as you can see, a craft along. Next week we'll be having a panel, a coming out panel for folks to talk about what it's like to come out as not straight. And the week after that, which will be, so that one will be the 9th, June 9th. The week after that, June 16th, we'll be having a trivia day. So come back for some fun trivia. We'll have a picture round, a music round, and then some LGBTQ fun facts. Can play on a team or on your own, bring a friend, that sort of thing. And it's self-scoring, so at the end of each round, I will be letting you know the answers, and then you can just mark down what you got, and then at the end, like I'm saying now, you can send in your score sheets, and we'll shout out folks who did well, or even just everyone. Maybe we'll be nice and shout out everybody. But yeah, so that'll be coming up in 2 weeks. And then on the, making me have to remember how calendars work. On the 23rd, we'll have a coming out panel about gender. So that first coming out panel will be a little bit more focused towards sexuality, and the second one will be towards gender. So we'll be having some great folks join us. Lucky Alexander from Invisible T-Men will be joining us. Who else is joining us for that day? Ayan from the Makeup Mariachi from Mariachi Arcoiris will be joining us that day. A lot of cool folks. Oli Kuhner from Queer SCV will be joining us. And who was the fourth person? Oh no, my brain. Y'all, my brain. Oh, and for the sexuality one, we'll be joined by Kevin Perez from Somos Familia Valle, which is another cool organization here in Los Angeles. They're based out of the San Fernando Valley, and they are a trans-led org that does events and services for queer folks in the San Fernando Valley area. They have a youth group and all sorts of stuff. Kaleidoscope also has a youth group. So we have two different youth groups. We have Pride Club and Varsity Pride Club now. So Pride Club is ages 11 to 13, and Varsity Pride Club is ages 14 to 17, and those meet on alternating Wednesdays. So if you are in those age ranges, or you know someone who is LGBTQIA+ or questioning, or just a super ally, send them our way. You can find information about that on our website, kaleidoscopelgbtq.org. Or the link in our bio, right? That's the thing we all have to say a million times on Twitter, or I'm on Instagram, that we have to say on Instagram is, oh, and I'm to my last page. That's really good timing. All right. And then for my last page, I think I'll add, maybe just a love is love. All right. Okay. I'll do some black on that, and then I think I am done. So if I wanted to take this zine now that I'm, well, mostly done, if I wanted to take this zine out into the world and give it to folks, I could find a copy machine, use an online print service, or go to a Staples, something like that. Maybe you have a copy machine at work you could use, or maybe you have a friend who has access to one. But I would then take this, this paper right here, put it face down in that copy machine, make 50 copies, and I could hand it out to folks where I go. So this is my finished zine here, and the great thing about it being double-sided is you don't really have to worry about bleed as much. So we have Pride 2021. Well, I think it's upside down in what you're seeing. We got some Pride stuff in there, some history. Actually, maybe I'll write that. And some pioneers of Pride. Got a quote in here. And then love is love. Yay! So I just want to thank everyone so much for coming to this event. I will be posting this to the story, so if you know someone who would have loved this but they missed it, then you can send them to our story. It'll be up for 24 hours. And we will be doing this every Wednesday, all Pride Month long, 5 p.m. Pacific time. And each week we'll have a different activity.
and hopefully you will be able to join us for all of them. My name is Kelly. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the program coordinator at Kaleidoscope, and thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you are all having a wonderful start to your Pride Month, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. And please, please, please send us your zines. So whatever you made today while watching, send in a copy, and we'd love to see it. All right. Thanks. Bye, everyone.